It has been nearly 1 year to the day since JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 9 titled The JOJOlands came out in Japan. After Part 8 concluded, I was really clamoring for more JoJos, and thankfully we got it in the form of Part 9. And I was really hyped when it came out. I thought the first chapter was great. The JOJOlands is a monthly book, so it only has 11 chapters out right now. So there's not a whole lot that we know. It's probably only about 10% of the story that we have at this point. But I still wanted to take a look at where we're at 1 year in and also provide my speculations as where I think this story might be going. The JOJOlands stars our protagonist Jodio Joestar, which I gotta say, that's definitely a name. After Part 6, Araki reset the universe, and so Part 7 was sort of a redo of things. It definitely feels like Part 1 if it was made by Araki with his new contemporary art style and the new way that he does stories. And Part 8 also feels this way, but with Part 4. So there's a lot of speculation that Part 9 was gonna feel like Part 5 or Part 6 or a combination of the two. And Jodio is definitely a parallel to Giorno. I mean, Giorno is the son of Dio, kind of Jonathan. It's complicated. You probably know that already. And Jodio definitely has that Dio connection because it's in his name, Jodio. Now, we totally don't know what that is right now, but we do know that Jodio is a descendant of Johnny Joestar, thus the name Joestar. Interesting thing about the Dio in this universe, though, he is definitively dead. Twice over, in fact. We see at the end of Part 7, Stephen Steele, I believe his name is Stephen Steele, uses the head of the Dio from that universe and the Dio that has the world that Funny Valentine pulled out from the alternate universe. He puts Dio's head next to that other guy, and then they smack together and they die. And Dio, or Diego, is no more. With Dio being dead in this universe, I'm interested to see where this connection to Dio is coming from. If it's just going to be the name, or if there's going to be some way, whether it be through a bloodline, heritage thing, or something else. Because the Josuke from Part 8 connection to Joseph was a little loose. So we'll see. I have no idea what it might be. But going back to Jodio and Giorno and comparing and contrasting these two characters, I think Jodio is a little similar to Giorno. Sure, both of them are in organized crime, but Giorno seemed a little more morally correct in ways. Sure, he is in the mob, and he is totally fine with drug dealers, but the whole selling drugs to kids thing, that's where he kind of had the hang-up. But with Jodio, he seems to be totally cool with a lot of things. We did see him beat up the cops when they were being mean to him, but yes, they were being mean, but they were also just doing their jobs and trying to take the illegal drugs away from him. So he's less morally right like Giorno, and maybe more in the morally gray, maybe leaning a little bit the other direction. Araki has this character type that he sort of likes to use for his protagonists, which I like to deem delinquents with hearts of gold. This is fitting with Jotaro, Josuke, Jolene, Giorno, and I think Jodio is going to fit into this character type. We've seen a lot of the delinquent aspect, but not a lot of the heart of gold aspect. We're probably going to see that with his brother Dragona. Jodio seems to really care about his brother, so we're definitely going to see Jodio kind of have that really nice I fight for my friends kind of aspect that a lot of the main JoJos really have. For JoJo's isn't all about the characters. it is also about the stands. And Jodio has a really intriguing stand. It is called November Rain, based off of the Guns N' Roses song. November Rain is following a trend from Part 8, where the main JoJo stand seems like it's going to have something to do with water, but literally has nothing to do with water. Soft and wet. You'd think it had to do with water. Nope. It steals things. November Rain. Water. Nope. Makes things heavy. Since it's only been 11 chapters, we haven't seen a lot of the stands, but I trust Araki, and I know that he's going to have some really cool abilities. And what we've seen, we do have some fun ones. We have November Rain, like I mentioned before, which makes things heavy. We have Smooth Operators, which, great song choice, by the way, Araki, which is Dragona's stand. And Smooth Operators can, change the properties of things around. We see it change a driver's license that Dragona stole. We see it change a license plate. We, of course, have the Hustle, which is Paco's stand, which allows Paco to control his muscles in interesting ways. We have Mate Kudasai, which is Usagi's stand, which we haven't seen a ton of Mate Kudasai. It seems like it can just retrieve anything that Usagi asks it, or actually, no, it can retrieve anything that someone else asks it to. Then there's a new unnamed stand, which we just got in Chapter 11, which is really cool. It's perspective-based powers, which is really fun to see how Araki is conveying this. The character is in the background, but also in the foreground at the same time. It's really trippy and really cool. Great on Araki for being able to nail this effect. But those are some of the new stands. There's also a returning stand, because Rohan Kishibe made a return in Chapter 4. Now, it doesn't seem like Rohan is going to have too big of a role. He seemed to just be there as a little cameo appearance, and also to introduce the MacGuffin of the series. And what is the MacGuffin? Well, the MacGuffin is the lava rock. The lava rock is definitely the thing that this story is going to revolve around. Part 8 had the big mystery of who is Josuke, Part 9 is going to be the mystery of what's up with the lava rock. And this is where we're going to get into a little bit of theory crafting on my part. Part 9 is really connected to Part 5. And in Part 5, there's a moment that really gets overshadowed. And it is the story of the origin of the stands. The origins of the stands in the original universe is that there was a meteorite, it came down, there was a virus, the virus spread to people, and then that's how they got stands. But then the people who were affected by the meteorite, they took the meteorite, made it into arrows, and then they were able to give stands with the arrows. So that's how we get the natural born stands, and that's how we get the stand arrows. But in this new universe, we've never really explored how the stands sort of happen. But we know where stands come from, and it's based on locations. In Part 7, we see the Devil's Palm, where if you walk into the Devil's Palm, you get a stand. And then in Part 8, people get stands from the walleyes. Not the fish, I'm talking about the walls that happen to have eyes. The stands are coming from the land. And what's Part 9 called? The JOJOlands. I think Part 9 is going to heavily focus on the origins of the stands in this new universe. Because Araki didn't really focus on it before, it was just kind of this sweep it under the rug, there it is thing. Maybe he wants to really focus on it now. And so the next big location as to where the stands are coming from is probably a volcano or something. Sure, the lava rock isn't giving out stands, it's just pulling expensive items towards it, but maybe it gained this ability from the volcano that it came from, or maybe just one of the islands of Hawaii is able to just give stands in some way. I hope I am right on this, but I'm not Sure, completely. There is one more thing that I want to talk about, and that's the year that the part takes place in. I know this isn't like super important, but it's never been stated officially, I don't think, and I want to get my thoughts on this matter. In chapter 1 of JOJOlands, we see the mentioning of Dua Lipa and COVID, and the setting just seems very modern. Now, obviously, that would make people to believe that we are in the 2020s, maybe even 2020 itself. And the part came out in 2023, so maybe it takes place in 2023. But I believe it takes place squarely in 2021. Why 2021 specifically? Well, Araki likes to do this pattern where all the JoJo parts, the year that they take place in, the last digit is always the same. From part 1 to part 4, the years always ended in a 9. Part 1 takes place in 1889, part 2 takes place in 1939, part 3 takes place in 1989, and part 4 takes place in 1999. But starting from part 5 and going on, all the years ended in a 1. Part 5 in 2001, part 6 in 2011, part 7 cycling all the way back to 1891, and then part 8 in 2011 again. So to me, it just makes sense that part 9 would take place in 2021. Again, not that important of a thing. I just wanted to say that because I noticed the pattern and I didn't know if anyone else had noticed the pattern, and I hadn't seen anyone else talking about it. So there, I said my piece. As of right now, I don't really know how I feel about part 9 as a whole. When chapter 1 came out, I was really excited, and chapter 1 was a really good chapter. It set up everything perfectly. We got where we're at, we got who we're dealing with, we got some great stands, we got some fun music references, and it really got me excited for what we were going to do. But as things have been going on, the part's just been kind of I don't want to say limping along, but it's just been going at a pretty good slow pace. It's definitely going to be like 100 chapters, which is going to take like 10 years to finish, just like part 8 JoJolian. So I know that like I'm going to have to just stick with it. I know like in 4 years time from now, we'll have a broad scope. We'll know where we're going. And, monthly books are really annoying. Even like reading manga weekly is like kind of a drag. Whenever there's a new chapter, I'm really excited. I really enjoy reading it. And I might make more videos talking about part 9. If you guys like this video, we might just check in every year or every so often, because I really am a massive JoJo fan. I already did a video talking about part 1, which you should go check out, and I am going to keep making more videos on JoJo's in the future. A part 2 video will be coming out eventually. Really hopeful for everything, really excited for JoJolands, and leave a like, subscribe, comment, and with that, sayonara.